Breaking news in the closely watched election in Iowa. Democrats flipping a seat in the state Senate, and Jay O'Brien is in Washington with what this means for the GOP supermajority in that state. Good morning, Jay.
Yeah, Rebecca, good morning. This was a special election to fill a vacant Iowa State Senate seat. But this morning, Democrats across the country are celebrating, arguing it's a sign of things to come.
All right, folks, so we'll finish this clip in just a second, but we have positive breaking news for a change, which is that Democrats scored a major upset election victory in the deep red state of Iowa last night, which shattered the state's Republican supermajority and might portend some really bad news for Republicans in the 2026 midterms when the current incumbent Iowa senator, who is deeply unpopular, Joni Ernst, faces re-election. This could have massive implications for the balance of power at the federal level, and Republicans are panicking. But before we unpack all that, if you end up liking this video and you want to support the channel, please be sure to hit the like, subscribe, and alert bells before you go.
Democrat Caitlin Dray beating Republican Christopher Prush by 11 points, in this case, just about 800 votes in a district that Donald Trump won easily in 2024, according to the latest data from local elections officials. The victory breaks a Republican supermajority in the Iowa State Senate, now forcing any of the governor's nominees to need to get one Democratic vote to get approved. And it's the second time this year a Democrat has flipped a seat in that chamber in a Trump-heavy district. The chair of the National Democratic Party this morning saying that the win shows Iowa voters rejecting President Trump's policies and is a sign of momentum ahead of the 2026 midterms, where control of Congress will be on the line. But Republicans are blaming the loss on low turnout. Just 7,600 votes were cast. Deborah.
But that's become part of the problem for Republicans. Typically, Democrats won, high turnout elections. Here lately, that actually has flipped because Donald Trump is such an energizing aspect of Republican politics. Has become a cult of personality, and in this case, their strength is their weakness, but we'll get to that. So this is very good news, even though it may seem like a relatively low-profile race. As Matt McDermott notes, while you were sleeping, Iowa Democratic Caitlin Dray flipped a ruby red state Senate seat with a 20-point swing against Trump, breaking the GOP supermajority. If you're wondering why Republicans are rigging maps, this is what they're afraid of. That 20-point swing is massive, folks. Not necessarily predeterminative. It's possible that the 2026 midterms still go the Republicans' way, but what this shows is there's potential to defeat them, even in Iowa. As the Des Moines Register notes, Democrat Caitlin Dray wins Iowa Senate special election, breaking the Republican supermajority. So let's look into this. This is from a local paper. Democrat Caitlin Dray has pulled off a victory in a special election for the Iowa Senate, flipping a Republican-held seat and breaking the GOP supermajority in the chamber for the first time in 3 years. Dray won with 55% of the vote to the Republicans' 44% of the vote, according to unofficial results from the Woodbury County Auditor's Office. Governor Kim Reynolds called the election to fill a vacancy in Iowa Senate District 1 after the Republican died of pancreatic cancer in June. Quote, "I'm just really incredibly honored that the folks in Senate District 1 believed in this campaign as much as the team did, and I'm looking forward to representing them well," Dray said in an interview with the Des Moines Register. The Western Iowa Senate seat is based in Woodbury County and includes Sioux City. Dray will serve the remainder of DeWitt's term, which ends in January 2027. The seat will be on the ballot again in November 2026. With Dray's win, Democrats now hold 17 seats in the 50-member Senate to the Republicans' 33 seats, enough to break the two-thirds supermajority the GOP has enjoyed since the 2022 election. That means Republicans will need support from at least one Democratic senator to confirm Reynolds' nominees to state agencies, boards, and commissions in the final year of her term. Dray's victory is the latest in a string of positive special election results for Democrats this year that will give the party hope that it can claw back seats in the 2026 midterms. These results include Democrat Mike Zimmer's surprise victory in a January special election for an eastern Iowa Senate seat, as well as a narrow loss for Democrats in March in a southwest Iowa district and a dominant win in April in a Cedar Rapids-based House seat. So even when they lose recently here in Iowa, it's very narrowly, and when they win, it tends to be big. In 2022, the last time Senate District 1 was on the ballot, DeWitt defeated Democrat Jackie Smith by more than 10 percentage points. Quote, "I'm incredibly proud of the organizing effort that the Woodbury County Democrats put in. They are just truly an exceptional team of volunteers who dedicated every weekend from July 9th to now to knock on doors in every single kind of weather, and we left it all out there." So, good news there. The Democratic Party, the National Democratic Party, the official page on Twitter, replied and said, "We mobilized 30,000 volunteers to make calls and send texts to help Iowa Democrats and Caitlin Dre's campaign get out the vote, winning a district that Donald Trump won by over 11 points in November." And a local Democratic activist and official, Francis Patano, says, "This Iowa victory didn't just happen. Shout out to Caitlin Dre, the incredible team at Senate Majority and Iowa Democrats, and the thousands of Iowans being sick and tired of being sick and tired. No such thing as a permanently red state." Ron Filipkowski, the editor-in-chief of Midas Touch, also noted that it's interesting that this happens the same day that Chuck Grassley, who is the ancient senior senator from Iowa, he's currently the chairman of the Judiciary Committee, and Trump is beefing with him. Interesting that this happens on the same day Chuck Grassley posts that Trump's tariffs are hurting Iowa farmers. So this also could be seen as a direct consequence of Trump's manifest bad results for Iowa. Like the tariffs that he's imposed on this country are manifestly impacting Iowans in the worst possible way. That could be a reason that this election flipped the way it did. Ted Lieu, a Democratic congressman from California, if I remember correctly, says Democrats flip another special election seat, this time in Iowa Senate 1, a Trump plus 11 district. Congratulations to Caitlin Dre for running a great race and breaking a Republican supermajority. Voters in Iowa 1 understand Trump and Republicans are harming our country. Jasmine Crockett, Democratic congresswoman and one of the big stars of the party, says, "So that redistricting is being done because, well, real people know Trump ain't real. He's as fake as they come. He only approves of fake news outlets, fake news reporters, fake news in general. But on planet Earth, we see things clearly. Congrats to the people of Iowa for showing us how it's done. A 20-point swing in rural Iowa is mind-blowing. Texas won't fail the assignment. We will have historic swings to remind the Timu Hitler that we, the people, have the power. Congrats, Iowa Senator Dre." Awesome. Now, I mentioned Joni Ernst. Okay, so this is where I think this is an even bigger deal. This is a big deal for Iowa, and it's going to matter substantially to the people in Iowa, which is an objective good. But obviously here at Boundary Politics, we tend to focus more on federal elections at the national level. Here's why this is a big deal. Do you remember this person? We did a video about her. We actually did several videos about her. Joni Ernst is the incumbent Republican senator of Iowa alongside Chuck Grassley. She represents Iowa in the United States Senate. She's incumbent, she is deeply unpopular, and she is up for re-election in the 2026 midterms. And I want you to hear one of the moments she went viral earlier this year. Usually this woman does not go viral. She went viral this year with this incredibly tone-deaf, vicious sentiment about Trump's one big beautiful bill, which she supported, taking away health care from people.
When you are arguing about illegals that are receiving Medicaid benefits, 1.4 million, 1.4, they are not eligible, so they will be coming off. So people are not, well, we all are going to die.
So, and I have another clip to play of her in just a second, just to, again, refresh your memory. There have been so many terrible things said and done by Donald Trump and the Republican Party in the past 7 months. It's easy to forget this shit, but this went viral. She was at a town hall. She was being rightly heckled and castigated by her own constituents for voting for this bill, which would strip health care away from American citizens and from American dependents, tens of millions. And she got fed up, snapped, and here's the thing, note this. Every politician is human. We're all human. We all lose our temper. And I think how we lose our temper can sometimes tell a lot about us. When Joni Ernst lost her temper, she didn't raise her voice. She became vicious. She became cruel. See that smile on her face? She says, well, we're all going to die. She thinks it's funny. She likes the thought. She clearly enjoys the thought of taking healthcare away from people. And she feels a sense of spite, of schadenfreude against people who will have healthcare taken away from them by her and Donald Trump. No, she didn't. She didn't scowl. She didn't get fed up. She got malevolent. Just became a total asshole and mocked people who are upset that they will be impacted in the form of losing their health care by her decisions. Now, she went viral for that tone-deaf, vicious statement. Then she made it so much worse. Again, we did a video about this, but just to refresh your memory, I'll pull it up here. A few days later, she posts this. This is her posting this. This is not a video that was manufactured by her office. This is her by herself choosing to address her statement.
Hello, everyone. I would like to take this opportunity to sincerely apologize for a statement that I made yesterday at my town hall. I was in the process of answering a question that had been asked by an audience member when a woman who was extremely distraught screamed out from the back corner of the auditorium, "People are going to die." And I made an incorrect assumption.
You would think this would be a prelude to, hey, listen, that was a really tone-deaf, irresponsible statement. I just got frustrated in the moment, and I was too flippant. I apologize. Here's why the One Big Beautiful Bill is so good, and here's why your fears about losing health care are overblown. They're incorrect. This is what she could have said as a build-up. This is where she goes with this.
That everyone in the auditorium understood that, yes, we are all going to perish from this earth. So I apologize. And I'm really, really glad that I did not have to bring up the subject of the tooth fairy as well.
So, in other words, she leads up like she understands, wow, this was cruel and tone deaf and people are scared and they're afraid, not just illegal immigrants, but her own constituents. And when she initially responded with cruelty and spite, she thought about it for a few days and doubled down on it in the most condescending fucking message. That should be in every goddamn ad by her Democratic opponent from now until the end of time. He should begin and like if and when they have a debate, he should make sure to tie that into every single thing he says. You know, candidate so-and-so, what do you think about the weather? Well, I'll tell you about what the weather is. The weather was that beautiful sunny day in which Joni Ernst was walking through a cemetery and she mocked her own constituents after insulting them at a town hall, mocking them for taking away their health care, saying smugly that everybody was going to die. And then on that beautiful day in that cemetery, she actually doubled down and posted a second, crueler, more vicious and condescending video because she doesn't give a damn about her own constituents and she's happy to see them die. That's what her Democratic opponent should say, and hopefully he will tie that into every single thing she says. Now, Joni Ernst is up for re-election in 2026, and according to public policy polling, PPI, she's very unpopular. Very unpopular. Only 39% of voters approve of the job Joni Ernst is doing, according to 40% who disapprove. Just 38% say they want to re-elect her, to 52% who prefer someone new, and the math with a generic Democratic opponent is virtually tied, with Joni Ernst getting 45% and her hypothetical foe getting 43%. In ruby red Iowa, to be within the margin of error, that's good. That's good. And recent polls indicate that her specific opponent, Democrat Zach Walz, that he's beating her in recent polling. So that's why this special election is so damn important. Yes, it's good for Iowa, and that alone in itself merits attention and congratulations, but this could have national implications because it means if we turn out, we could potentially not just, again, push back on the Trump administration and the Republican majority in the Senate, potentially flip it in conjunction with other victories, but we can get rid of Joni Ernst, who is a heinous, vicious asshole and who, quite frankly, does not deserve to represent her constituents. She needs to be removed from power, and hopefully we can do that in the 2026 midterm. So this is really good news. Obviously, it's not set in stone, but this should give people hope. Okay. In the meantime, let me know what you think in the comments.